Beautiful ones. I'm making part 2 about relationships, which is such an important topic for most of us, since a lot of us have had to struggle with having healthy relationships, not just romantic but otherwise. I would like to start off by saying that I am not here to judge you or to make you feel wrong. Maybe not all, but a lot of the things that I speak about here are things that I have been through and have brought me into such despair and into such a deep abyss that I've had to crawl my way out of there into the light to where I am now, to let you know that it can be done, and to hopefully share some wisdom that may be helpful to you, that may remind you of who you truly are, of the power and of the love that you hold. So for many different reasons, although I would say in my experience, a lot of it stems from us looking for approval from others. Look for love, the love that we yearn from another. And that can mean that some of us get into relationships where we abandon ourselves, where we are so eager to give ourselves over to people who don't deserve us, who are not good for us. I believe that our intuition always tells us when someone or something is good for us, but we learn from different sources not to trust our intuition. And when we get those hits, we ignore them. And it's interesting because it's like as a child, or in childhood, people don't tell you trust your intuition. It'll guide you the right way. There's something inside of you that has the truth, that holds the truth that you can look to for wisdom. But we don't get taught that. So then we end up in situations where we are in unhealthy patterns, where we are disrespected, where we are used, or where we are with people who we can't take seriously and who don't take us seriously. But with some practice, you do learn to trust your intuition, and you learn to look at those red flags and really open up your eyes and your ears and listen to your intuition and look at those red flags. Really open up your eyes and your ears and listen to what the person is saying. See if it matches, if their words matches their actions. That's a pretty big one. Sometimes you have to take off the goggles, so the filters, not allowing you to see the truth fully. And sometimes it takes time, especially when you're with certain personality types that like to love bomb you. And if you're hungry for love, that's a great way to get you hooked in. That's why I believe it's so important to wait to be intimate with someone until you really get to know them well, and you don't get energetically entangled with them, or mix your energy with someone that maybe if you got to know them, you wouldn't want them, 10 feet away from you. I've had that happen. So trust me, your intuition will let you know right away. For me, it's always like a clear yes or no. It's important not to confuse this with what some people describe as love at first sight, recognition, or resonance with one another. Sorry. I tell you that many of the beings in your life have been your parents, siblings, your enemies, your best friends, maybe even your killers or your victims. You'll meet these people in your everyday life and you will have an initial reaction to them, sometimes without even knowing them or them opening up their mouth. It makes sense that you would feel different when meeting them. Also, sometimes it's important to note that just because you are in resonance with someone doesn't mean that you have to go to bed with them or marry them. I know it sounds really logical, but you'd be surprised how many of us do that. At the same time, I remind you that all experiences carry the seeds of wisdom and understanding. So all experiences carry the seeds of wisdom and understanding if we're able to cultivate them and allow them to flourish. Experiences are very useful, but at some point you have to choose something better for yourself, especially when you're in a relationship that is very unhealthy or not good for you. At some point you have to stop burning yourself. You have to pull your hand out of the fire and know that you deserve better. Then you have to go through the process of loving yourself and holding yourself through the grief, but you will grow so much stronger from it all. So I can't really get into all the dynamics of relationships in a few minutes. So for now, we'll focus on the topic of power. Many of us have been in relationships where we had given our power over to another. Sometimes it was due to fear over being hurt or even being killed. Maybe we did it because we wanted to be loved, or for many other reasons that I can't even fathom. This is what I've learned from being in situations where I felt I gave my power away. So we always hold the power, and yet we give our power over to people and to situations. And that's all types, not just relationships. That's a lot of different dynamics. In truth, it is a power that cannot be taken away. We can pretend to give it away. Whatever power we had temporarily granted anyone, we can always take it back. We can call back our own power from any situation that we've been in, from anything or from anyone. You can call it back, or you can just remember too that the power is yours fully and completely. And that, again, this goes for all type of relationships. Realize that the power is yours and that it cannot be taken away. Now, you can pretend to give it away, but you're never powerless. You can play at giving it away, and that is exactly what you're doing. Now, these people, as hard as it is to think of them that way, they are your teachers, they are your reminders. Doesn't mean you have to stay with them. A lot of you are coming into your power fully, and you're no longer willing to allow anyone else to take away your power or even pretend to. You no longer need to be with people who don't appreciate you and who don't love you. Some of us fall into the mentality and roles of wanting to help people and be there to rescue them. You know, some of us, we think that, if we give people enough chances, if we love them enough, maybe they'll change. And some people, you can give them a million trillion chances and it won't make a difference. And some people just are not wanting to change, no matter what you do. So, the psychology of roles and we play, and then also the many different archetypes within all types of relationships can actually probably be turned into volumes of books. They probably already have. So what's been happening to many of us, I should say, is that we're now realizing that we have to take care of ourselves and not put ourselves in situations where we're going to come under some sort of attack, even if it's not real in the grand scheme of things. Either way, you will not put yourself in situations where you're going to end up getting hurt or disrespected. Many of you are realizing that, and I am so proud of you, because it takes a lot, but oh my gosh, you feel so proud of yourself to actually be able to hold yourself up and respect yourself and just love yourself enough to get out of situations that are not good for you. I believe that ultimately the right people are going to stay in your life, and the people that don't belong in your life will no longer be around. And there's people that are here for you, that are here to remind you and to support you, and those are the people that we want to stay around. The people that do not support you and do not love you will make their way out of their life. Bless them for coming into your life. Bless them for teaching you. Maybe it's not so much teaching, but simply reminding you. They are here to remind you of your power. They are here to remind you of the truth that is always within you, the truth that you are. Please listen to your guidance. Your intuition will know and will tell you. You won't have to linger unless you choose to. Once you get the intuition to move on, it is never wrong. There have been times in my life where the package has appeared to be perfect, but my intuition told me something was off, and it's always been right. So what is it that we're looking for in another? What's going on? So many of us are actually just looking for someone. We're looking for someone to love us so that we can start loving ourselves. We keep on looking for love to the point of starving for it. In my experience, I was searching for my own love, not someone else's. I still recall the moment that I realized that it was my own love that I was searching for, and I offered that love to myself. And there was so much happiness and yet sadness, because I had been waiting for that love for so long for myself, and I had been asking other people to give me that love, and no matter how much they gave me, it wasn't going to be enough, because it wasn't their love that I was searching. And so, there's nothing wrong with being in romantic relationships, but what I found is that the love that I found in myself and the love that I was able to give myself was one of the most beautiful moments that I had. It was such a beautiful experience. The love that I found within myself was much richer than any romantic or any other fantasy that I could have played out or experienced in any reality. And again, it doesn't mean that that romantic relationships are bad or that they're not supposed to happen. I mean, they are amazing, and they're great for support to help us grow and so much more. But what happens a lot of times is that a lot of us, because of childhood patterns and feelings of unworthiness, we choose people that aren't good for us. And so I'm going to tell you, my experience was that I thought of myself as broken and as not being good enough, as something was wrong with me. And obviously now I know that's not true. But at some point I believed it, because someone told me that, and I believed it. I remember I was maybe around 10 or 11, and someone made a comment about me. They didn't know me, and they just made a comment about me. And for some weird reason, that comment stayed with me. And it made me think that there was something wrong with me. And, this person didn't even know me. They were just projecting, or, it was just a reflection of how they saw themselves. And so I carried that with me up until recently. And so what I would do is I would choose people that I thought or that I felt were broken also. And I didn't choose people that were good for me, because why would a broken person be worthy of someone who's good for them? And it's so sad that we feel that way, because we're so wonderful. And especially some of us that are, when we're kids, and we want our parents' attention, we want their love, and they're just too busy. And out of our innocence, we think that we can somehow get them to love us by being good, or just different things that we do, trying harder. And sometimes these people are, they can't even love themselves, and we're asking them to love us. And so what's happening now is that a lot of us aren't putting ourselves in those kind of situations, and I'm really glad that we're not. I'm really glad that some of us are learning to listen to our guidance. Your intuition will tell you, and so in the end, we have to choose ourselves. We are the ones that we are looking for in another. I thought I was looking for communion with another, and in fact, I was just looking to commune with myself. I was looking for my own source, for my own love. I needed to return to myself. I needed to be present with myself. And so I am. Know that you can reach within for your own needs: love, attention, time, approval, wisdom, truth, knowing, and guidance. The other aspect is this: many of us get into these relationships, and it is very difficult for us to forgive the people that have hurt us. And a lot of the times we get into these relationships where we do allow people to hurt us, or where we stay longer in the relationships than we need to. And I have found that many of us hold that unforgiveness towards the other person for how they treated us. But what I realized in my experience was that the person I needed to forgive really was myself. And then I realized that I was already forgiven, but it is a process. It didn't happen overnight. I needed to forgive myself for giving myself over to someone who didn't appreciate me, someone who didn't honor me, who didn't truly love me. And I am now learning to choose better. I am now seeing the patterns, and ultimately, we are the ones that need to realize those things on our own. We need to realize our own worth. And there's no relationship that can come and convince you otherwise. But like I said, many of us are already there, where we've outgrown those toxic, dysfunctional, and harmonious relationships. And we are wanting something better for ourselves. Like, I have a moo cow. She just eats grass. Here's good for their tummy. But I'm really glad that a lot of us are getting out of that. And I'm going to stop here on that. I know it's a really broad subject to discuss. What I can say, though, is that when you get out of those kind of toxic, dysfunctional, painful relationships, that it is very, very important, I have found, to not go ahead and jump into another relationship. It's best to take care of yourself. What's what you're realizing is because there's this part of you that is so used to running away, and it runs away in other people. You see those people that they can't even be alone for like a day because they're like, I need someone, and it's like, I'm not saying that as a judgment, because I'm seeing them from a point of compassion, because I understand that they're coming from a place of hunger, of wanting someone to be with them, of not wanting to sit in their own pain and in their own suffering. And it's better to run away in someone else than it is to deal with your own suffering, at least up to a point, right? So if you've gotten out of one of those, especially long-term relationships, definitely take care of yourself. Spend time with your friends. Spend time with taking care of yourself. Get to know yourself again, because what happens when we get into a lot of this toxic relationships, or this dysfunctional relationships, we lose ourselves. We give ourselves over to people. We get isolated. We don't talk to our friends. We get into the shame cycles where we just isolate, and it just brings us or puts us deeper into suffering. And so it's really important that you take the time out after finishing with a relationship like that. It doesn't matter if it's been long or if it's been a short period of time, to just be with yourself, to realize, why was I in this relationship? What led me to want to choose someone like that? Because it's not so much that this people choose me. It doesn't matter who chooses you. It matters who you choose. Why are you choosing people like that? Why don't you think you deserve better? And that's what needs to heal. And my experience, got out of a long-term relationship a little bit over a year ago, and I've been on my own, and I'm telling you that it's the best decision that I could have ever made, because before I didn't do that. Before, I would jump out of a relationship and maybe get into another relationship right away. And that's what a lot of people do. They don't even give themselves time to heal. Like, if that relationship went wrong, maybe look at why it went wrong. What do I need to heal from it? What is this relationship teaching me and reminding me? Where have I given away my power? Where have I given away my love instead of giving it to myself? Where you're looking for someone else to love you, so you give them more and more and more so that they'll love you back, but they just don't because they can't. It's not that they're evil. It's not that they're bad. So I'm going to stop there. Have a beautiful day, you guys. Bye-bye.